So there is a lot of grim news out there regarding the economy and the housing market, and I'm not the only one saying that. Take a look at this short video clip coming up.
Food prices, for example, generally going up. And we talked to a bunch of people outside of a grocery store in Derry, New Hampshire. We couldn't find anybody feeling good about the economy, and that's just human nature. Psychologically, you go into a store, if you're paying more for items that you get every week, that really sticks with you.
A new study from Intuit Credit Karma found that while almost all Americans at 96% are concerned with the state of our economy, about 27% of Americans are doom spending.
Doom spending is when our anxiety and worries about the economy triggers us to spend money so we could live more in the moment to ease our stress.
So as you just saw, I'm going to show you why doom spending is leading people down the worst path, especially when it comes to buying a home. Stay tuned. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of real quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the U.S. economy, the U.S. real estate market, and specifically the Las Vegas real estate market, then definitely subscribe to the channel down below. Number 2, if you happen to like the content in today's video, make sure to press that thumbs up like button, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number 3, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When the time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. So doom spending is a real thing, and it's one of the biggest reasons as to why we're seeing such inflated prices across the entire economy, especially with home prices. So much so that these companies are now predicting the following regarding the housing market.
Home prices will continue to appreciate, rising 2.5% in 2024 and 4.4% in 2025. Zillow also thinks that home prices will increase by 6.5% by July of 2024, and Goldman Sachs agrees, predicting that home prices won't decline from here on out.
So there's 2 ways to look at that information. First, these companies change their forecast models like the wind based on current economic conditions. None of them have a crystal ball. They're very reactionary, so these forecast models change all the time. And the second reason for those predictions is because of the unending doom spending that I just previously mentioned. But here's where things are getting worse, and a lot of people are not paying attention to it. Take a look at this short video clip.
The layoffs are already piling up this year, and we're just a few weeks into 2024. Wayfair announcing it's preparing to lay off at least 13% of its global workforce. And the publisher of the iconic Sports Illustrated magazine saying that most of its staff will be let go, the union calling it a very difficult day for its members. And it comes after Macy's announcement earlier this week, the company laying off about 3.5% of its total headcount, roughly 2,300 employees.
And a new study showed that AI will affect over 80% of the U.S. workforce. 85 million jobs will be affected by this shift, and that roughly 25% of all jobs will be replaced by artificial intelligence, and that's just in the next 5 years.
So that right there, coupled with the reckless doom spending, in my opinion, is ruining the lives of millions of people. Affordability for just about everything for the average person has gone out the window, especially when it comes to buying a home. Take a look at this information coming up. All right, so I want you guys to take a look at this very important chart. This goes back about 18 years to the previous real estate collapse back in 2006. Now you can see at the top, it says U.S. median housing payment as percentage of median income. So what this chart basically means is how much of your income is going towards your mortgage or your housing costs every single month. So let's go all the way over to the left side of the chart here and take a look at this number right here. So take a look right here, just above that arrow on the upper left side right there. That number right there at the top left side of that chart says 42%. Now, if we go all the way down to the bottom there, just to look at the date, it says 2006. So this was the start of the real estate collapse about 18 years ago. And the reason why is people had to pay 42% of their income towards their monthly mortgage and their housing costs, which was astronomically high, and that began the real estate collapse. Now, as the real estate market collapsed back in 2006, we finally bottomed out in 2012, where you can see that number right there, 26%. So in 2012, when the market finally collapsed, people only needed to use 26% of their income to pay for their housing costs. So right in the middle of the chart, right here from the last real estate collapse of 2012 to right about 2020, so right in this middle range here, we were hovering between 27 to 32% of income needed for your monthly housing costs. But then when we got to 2020 and we hit the pandemic, all bets are off. And you can see right here on the far right side, it just went up basically in a straight line with one little exception right here last year. But right now we're at about 45% of total income needed for your housing costs. Now, the last time that happened, we got to go all the way back over here to the left side when we were at 42%. And then we saw the real estate collapse over the next several years. So now we're at an even higher level at 45%. So it begs the question, are we going to see a real estate collapse now because so much income is needed to afford a home? In my opinion, that is going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. Real estate down cycles usually take several years like it did in the previous cycle, and I'm anticipating that happening again this time around. Now, since I'm located here in beautiful Las Vegas, home prices are still relatively high since the beginning of the pandemic, but there's now a lot of price reductions going on a lot of overpriced homes here, and I want to show you a few of those examples coming up. All right, so if you guys follow my channel, you know that near the end of each of my videos, I usually go to the popular real estate website Zillow just to show you a few examples of homes for sale here in the Las Vegas area. I usually start in the luxury category, which I'm going to do today as well, and then I work down closer to the average price point. There's a reason why I showed this to you guys, and I find examples like this every single week here in the Las Vegas area where there's a lot of pricing discrepancies, meaning that the algorithm that Zillow uses to estimate home values, a lot of times they are very far off the mark, or the sellers are very much overpriced on their homes and there's price reductions going on. So I want to show you a few of these examples coming up, starting with this luxury home first. All right, so let's start with this first example of a home for sale here in the Las Vegas area. This is a semi-custom luxury home that was built in 2020. You can see the price on the left side of the screen. It's just at about $3.2 million. This is a 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 4,351 square foot home. But more importantly, I want to show you the price history down below. And again, show you the Zillow algorithm not making sense on the estimated value of this particular home. Let's take a look at that right now. All right, so take a look down here in the bottom left where I highlighted this in blue. The date on the bottom left right there says 4/22/2021, and the home was sold for $1,686,000. Now, this was probably sold at this base level because this was a brand new home back then, and they sold it at that base level. The buyer probably put some upgrades into it, but take a look right here. Just above it, the date says 2/25/2022. That's less than 1 year after it sold for $1.6 million. Look at the list price where they listed it, $3,250,000. So not only is that an absurd increase in price, which makes absolutely no sense, take a look at this date right here on the left side where it says 4/7/2022. That means less than 2 months later, they removed the listing. So they took it off the market, then they relisted it back in October of this past year at an even higher price at $3.3 million. They've not been able to find a buyer. A month later, they reduced the price another $100,000. But more importantly, take a look up here as I scroll up. You can see the chart history. You can see right up here on the upper left side where it says estimated market value. Zillow automatically brought this price point up to about $3 million. Now, that's still a couple $100,000 lower than the asking price from the sellers. But again, take a look at this situation, guys. In less than 2 years, a home went from $1.6 million to a list price of $3.3 million. They've not been able to get it. Even Zillow brought the price down a little bit, but it's still absurdly high at $3 million. The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is that even if people who I know most people can't afford a home like this, you want to be careful when you look at websites like Zillow because, again, a lot of times the pricing estimates are just that. They're estimates. They're not true value. You have to be able to find that when you use a realtor to find the actual comps and get an appraisal because, again, a lot of these prices do not make sense, especially in the luxury category. Let's take a look at the next example. All right, so now let's take a look at this second example of a home for sale here in the Las Vegas area. Now we're definitely coming down in price. We're still above the average price point, which in Las Vegas is about $450,000. But I want you guys to take a look at this one. This home, you can see the price on the left side. It's listed right now at about $800,000. It's a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 2,700 square foot home. But again, I want to show you down below the price history here because this home has been reduced pretty significantly since the height of the real estate market about 20 months ago. Let's take a look at that right now. All right, so let's look at the price history of this particular home. Take a look down here in the bottom left, right where I highlighted this in blue, right in that bottom left corner. That date says 6/17/2022. That was just about the peak of the real estate market about 20 months ago. And you can see over on the right side, they listed this home for sale for $999,000. They were not able to find a buyer because, again, even at that time, the home price was probably too elevated. So they started to do a price change. They went to $975. They went to $950. It looked like they had a pending sale. When I go up here, right in the middle of the page there, it says $949 pending sale. It obviously fell out. So that deal did not go through. They started to lower the price even more. They went down to $825, and now they're down to about $800,000. But if we scroll up a little bit higher here in the chart history, even Zillow has the estimated market value now at $775 basically. And there's a reason why I'm showing this to you guys. This home about 20 months ago was listed at about $1 million. Had you bought the home back then, you would have been paying in that ballpark about $950 to $999 where they had it. They were not able to find a buyer because, again, it was probably overinflated at that time. But now look at the price. 20 months later, this home is listed for $799. It's probably in the ballpark realistically of about $750. So you would have been able to save over $200,000 just by being patient. So that's why I keep telling you guys, patience is the prudent play regardless of price point. From the peak levels of about 20 months ago, a lot of home prices have come down, and I anticipate that happening more as we go through 2024. All right, so now let's look at this third example of a home for sale here in the Las Vegas area. Definitely coming down now closer to the average price point, which again in Las Vegas is about $450,000. But if we look over here on the left side, this home is priced at $475,000. It's only a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home. But again, I want to show you down in the price history down below, the price reduction that's happened fairly quickly on this home. Let's take a look at that right now. All right, so let's look at the price history on this particular home. Let's take a look down here in the bottom left where I highlighted this in blue. The date in the bottom left right there says 8/27/2023. And you can see over on the far right, it was listed for $535,000. That's not even 6 months ago, and they've not been able to find a buyer, so they started to do a series of price reductions now. They first went down to $519, and now right now they have a big drop where they currently have it listed at $475. But more importantly, take a look up here. The estimated market value, even from Zillow, if you take a look over in the far left, they have it at about $455. Now, Zillow's estimates, the way their algorithm works is very odd. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. I looked at the particulars on this home. This is pretty accurate. So again, let's roll the clock back. This home was listed about 5 or 6 months ago for $535. 6 months later, no buyer. Now the estimated value is really around the $450 range. That's over an $80,000 price reduction in terms of the actual value going down. So again, this is why I keep stressing to you guys, patience is the prudent play, because by sitting on the sidelines and waiting things out, these price reductions are happening across the board at all different price levels. Let's look at one more example here in the Las Vegas area. All right, so let's look at this fourth and final example of a home for sale here in the Las Vegas area. Now, this one looks like an investor trying to flip this home, trying to make a lot of money, which again is an absurd number based on even this price point, which you can see on the left side is priced at about $390,000. There was a price cut of about $10,000 recently. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square foot home. But let's go take a look at the pricing details down below. All right, so let's look at the price history here down below where I highlighted this in blue. Down in the bottom left, that date right there says 11/30/2023. So that was about Thanksgiving of this past year. So not even really a couple of months ago. This home sold for $273,000. Now, if we look at the date just above it, it says 1/19/2024. So that was a couple of weeks ago that they just listed this home for sale. Take a look at the price over there on the right where I'm moving the arrow there. $400,000. So here's the thing, in all likelihood, this is an investor that bought this home a little bit below market value. They may have put about $30,000 or $40,000 renovation costs into it, and now they're trying to flip it up at about $400,000. They've not been able to find a buyer, and for good reason. In all likelihood, this home is massively overpriced because, again, the greed that's going on in this real estate market, whether it's investors, sellers, or home builders, is still a huge issue in this market. And as a buyer, you need to watch out for these kinds of things and not overbid on homes like this. So between the economy and the housing market, we are living in very uncertain times right now. And I want to give you guys 4 quick tips here that hopefully will help you out. I know some of it might seem basic, but I want to put these up here on screen. Number 1, don't buy things right now that you don't need. Number 2, pay cash if possible. Avoid using credit cards. The average interest rate right now on a credit card is approximately a whopping 25%. Number 3, pay your bills first, try to save some money, and enjoy saving money instead of spending. And number 4, don't buy a home right now if you don't have to. I definitely think home prices are going to be coming down as we go through the rest of this year. I've got you guys' best interest at heart. I'm just looking out for you, and I'm trying to get you guys to avoid spending recklessly. And before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to Y-Dri-Fi. And I'm going to put his comments up here on full screen here. This is really pretty shocking. Take a look at this. So I'm going to read you guys this full comment. Our utility bill in Connecticut just went from $350 a month to $700 a month. Our utility rates almost doubled when our 30-month residential utility provider contract expired this December. The electric rates in Connecticut exploded from 6 cents per kilowatt to 13 cents per kilowatt effing crazy. How can people afford a 100% increase? Now, that really is crazy to see a utility bill double like that, but even crazier is when the government and the media continue to gaslight us and tell us that inflation is under control, when I get so many comments every single week on my YouTube channel proving that inflation is nowhere near under control. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you're frustrated about. I want to hear how much your bills have gone up or any of the things that are frustrating you. Definitely drop me a comment down below. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you appreciate my transparency. Like I've said before, I'm always going to keep it 100% real on this channel regarding the overall real estate market, with specific emphasis here in the Las Vegas area. So again, guys, just to summarize, we are living in very uncertain times right now. There's a lot of people spending recklessly. There's a lot of credit card debt out there. People are not being responsible. I'm trying to look out for you guys. I definitely think you need to hold tight on buying any kind of high-ticket items right now, like homes or cars. I especially think home prices are going to come down later this year. It might take into 2025. So if you can just sit tight, try to save money, be responsible, that's the best thing to do right now. Now, regarding buying a home, I know everybody's circumstances are different. If you're thinking about buying a home, especially here in the Las Vegas area, when that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When the time is right for you, just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.